Welcome to module number 2. We're going to look at the intersection of ethics and policy and legal aspects. So in this particular module, we're going to dive into the Nurse Practice Act. We're going to be looking at existing laws, some of those laws and policies that impact healthcare, including the Affordable Care Act and all those facets involved in healthcare and access and those resources. And this is where we can dive into really reflecting back to our very first module as far as if we perceive healthcare as a right, and how even though that we have policies in place, they may or may not be conducive to assure that everyone is able to have the same level of health care coverage as we experience in practice. So we're going to really take that deep dive into some of those legal aspects, and we're going to again be building on what we laid our foundation in our first module in the context of ethics. And we're also going to look at the workplace and some of those factors that we maybe need to think a little differently about how we do things in healthcare. So we're starting out with our thinking about our thinking. This is not the newest TED Talk out there, but it may trigger some thought. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts about that. In our second module, we're going to be looking at informed consent in particular, and that's some of the readings within your GRACE textbook. We're going to be going through your legal and regulatory issues presentation, and there is detail about that particular presentation in this module as well. We're going to go into the concept of informed consent as we discuss our Henrietta Lacks book. And in Forum 3, you're going to share your legal and regulatory issues presentations with each other and have the opportunity to review each other's presentations. So we also again have our content folder, and just know that those resources are there for you to use as you see fit when you're completing your forums or looking at your assignments. Those are all resources for you to use. And then there's also an article that I would like for you to read in the module as well. This is the overview of the legal and regulatory aspects presentation. If you have any questions, please do let me know. And we're going to, of course, do our reading, as I indicated before, on informed consent. This is the article from Ramber that you will be reading, and, of course, your content folder. So please use these resources as you see fit, and feel free to share resources amongst yourselves. And if you have a great find, feel free to toss that out in our forum also, so everyone can share that. And if there's some kind of recommendation that you have found something that's really valuable, we can most certainly enter it into the course so it's there as part of the repository for future students as well. So if you have any questions or concerns about this particular module, please let me know. But take that step back. Think about legal and regulatory aspects. Think about some of those ethical conflicts that occur when one is applying a policy or a regulation in practice, and the perception of some of the possibly staff in the context of whether that policy or regulation may or may not be the most appropriate for a particular individual. And those are all aspects that we need to consider. And we also need to consider the lens of ethics, and things look very differently depending upon one's perspective and from what ethical focus we're using to view a particular issue. And always remember that the hallmark for an ethical dilemma is the fact that there's just no clear answer. And that's where the dilemma issue comes into play, and that's where we need to dive into our code of ethics, our own personal values and beliefs, and really have that strong foundation, and also be in touch with what our values are, what our beliefs are, and know how they may steer our view of certain topics. So keep that in mind. Always keep in mind your own personal values and beliefs and how that drives your thought process, and be open to ask questions of others and learn more as far as a perspective. And maybe someone who walked in different shoes may have a very different perspective for a number of different reasons. So keep that in mind, and that's kind of a precursor for our next module 2, and as well, not module 2, this is module 2, but our next module, module number 3, and social justice, because sometimes our perspectives are very different based on where we are as far as where we are in society, our employment level. Those types of things really strongly impact us, and whether we like it or not, we are within our own culture, within healthcare, and have some maybe unique perspectives on healthcare that maybe the general population may or may not have. So with that being said, I look forward to our conversations in the forum, and let me know if I can assist you in any way.